A speech by a Tory arguing for more drug prohibition had to be answered.
The question is that the honourable member have leave to bring in his bill. As many as that opinion say aye. Aye. My apologies. The honourable gentleman was...
I won't keep the House long, but I think we have to comment on this farrago of nonsense that we've just heard, and this very old-fashioned view on this. Of course the government can't control the precursors to this drug because they're used for a multiple number of uses, and that's entirely impractical. The honourable member has given attention to a drug that is very little used in this country. He's given a highly coloured account of its effects. It certainly can, like many other drugs and many medicinal drugs, have these dangerous effects, but in other cases it doesn't. It's been used as a recreational drug. It was, as he rightly said, used as a medicine when it was first invented for a number of years, particularly in the services. But the point that he's missed altogether, and the case that he's failed to make, is the connection between the category which the drug is in and the uses of that drug. And he naively believes that if you put the drug into a higher category, there's less use of it. And that's entirely untrue. These categories were created in 1971, and at that time there were 1,000 people addicted to heroin and cocaine in Britain. And we've now had all those years since then of heroin and cocaine being a Class A drug. The number of users now, the number of addicts now, are 280,000. If we were going to classify all harmful drugs in their appropriate classification, we'd put alcohol and tobacco in classification A because of the harm that's caused by them. The honourable member is going back to the belief that was there, this great myth that in 1971, when the United Nations decided they were going to get rid of drugs all over the world with a big united effort from every country. The result of that was entirely perverse. We've seen through those years a great increase in all the use of drugs throughout the countries that signed up to the United Nations Convention. We're now supporting a convention established by the United Nations in 1998, and it says that we will aim for the elimination, that's the word there, the elimination of all drug use, of poppy growing, of the growing of the plants for cannabis and cocaine within a 10-year period. That period is up in 2008. The world has made absolutely no progress on that, but it's believed that prohibition works. And the lesson is, from our own experience in Afghanistan, where the British taxpayer has spent £115 million to eliminate heroin poppy growth there. Next year will be the record growth ever of heroin poppies. In Colombia, where the Americans have spent $4.7 billion on Planned Colombia, next year we'll see a 20% growth in the cocoa crops there. And the lesson for this is that prohibition of the drugs doesn't work. It creates a market, and that market enriches itself by greater sales. And the lesson that we should look at is not to go in changing the classifications, which will have absolutely no effect. And he speaks with disrespect of the Advisory Council. It was the Advisory Council that said that cannabis should change its category and reduced its category. The result was not an increase in cannabis use in Britain, but a decrease, and he must accept the logic of that. And what he's saying today is that we carry on with a failed policy of the past that we have. We should learn from the experience of countries like the Benelux countries, like Germany, like Australia, but principally like Portugal, that in 2001 depenalised all drugs. The result of that is the number of drug deaths in Portugal now is half what it was in 2001. This is a misguided bill.
Order.